S25 Ultra versus iPhone 17 Pro Max. This is the last time that these two are going to face off. Let's go. With the Galaxy S20 Ultra launch looming large, this is the last time these two giant smartphones will be faced off against each other. In the 5 or so months they've been out together at the same time, they've both received updates. So how do they fare after those updates and heading into the next version of Galaxy? Starting with what hasn't changed since the last time I compared these two, and that's the design. The iPhone is still the iPhone, and the S25 Ultra is still the S25 Ultra. But whilst the design and the look and the appearance has not changed, as you use them day to day or sort of pick them up every now and then, one design has aged better than the other. More comfortable to use, lighter to hold. Overall, I think better for the slab form factor. And that design belongs to the S25 Ultra. It's lighter, thinner, and more practical to use day to day because of it. Obviously, a lot of it is down to the physical form factor, so the fact it is lighter and thinner, but it also has software that marries up with the size of it. Apple, as usual, does a terrible job of matching the software with the form factor. The 6.9-inch display on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is just completely wasted, especially when it comes to how you can organize your home screen or take advantage of that screen real estate within the software. I looked at it a little bit more in depth last week when I did the One UI 8.5 versus iOS 26 comparison, and that really highlighted how the software differences actually marry up better with the design on Samsung versus what they do on iPhone. As people keep liking to remind me in comments, yes, Apple does have the one-handed solution. That is not a mode that I will recommend. It effectively just squishes the content down into half of the screen and doesn't look visually appealing or, for me, be visually functional. Some people would say it's better than nothing. I disagree with that. I just think nothing is better. But the design is the design. So we're talking more about the physical stuff. It's not so much the software. I've already spoken about that at length last week. There is an element of the design that I do like with the iPhone that has kind of aged well over time. And that's the smoothness of the aluminium, because the frame has that slight little curve around it. It's rounded. And that kind of gives it a nice touch to go from the side rails to the back glass, effectively because it's all one piece. It does make it feel a bit softer in the hand. Some people don't like that softness though, and they've let everyone know about it on the internet, but mostly because mine sits on my table and doesn't really go with me much anywhere, mine looks fine. The other part of the design that kind of needs to be highlighted is the display. Now, I said it in the first comparison that compared to the S25 Ultra, the display just doesn't look as vibrant or as punchy, especially in bright outdoor conditions. Hasn't really changed much. It physically can't. It's hardware related. But realistically, the main element that's actually puts the Samsung ahead here is that anti-reflective coating. It just can't be beaten. Direct sunlight, indoor brightness, doesn't matter. No matter what you're doing with your iPhone or your Samsung, the anti-reflective coating and the display on the S25 Ultra just looks better than it, hands down. Hasn't changed. The cameras are the next part, because for me, I guess with updates getting added to this thing, you've got the iOS 26 updates that have come out, which has patched a lot of things and a lot of issues that I was having, or at least hopefully they patched it from the first time I was using the iPhone. And the S25 Ultra has got One UI 8.5 running on it. So there's a lot of software updates that have hit this thing and maybe addressed some things. There's a lot of stuff going on with both cameras. They're both very high end for their respective operating system platforms. Obviously on iPhone, this is the best iPhone camera available, hands down. And then for Samsung, it might not be the best Android camera hardware, but their software is absolutely at the top in terms of the practicality and the functions that they offer. This is the thing about the Samsung and Android camera app ecosystem, is there just isn't the third-party choices. Apple have a plethora of camera app options to choose from if you don't like their stock camera app, which I definitely do not. Not only do they have a suite of apps to choose from, in particular this one called Swipe that I've been using, but also they have lenses to attach to the back of your phone as well that can enhance the entire experience. The other morning, I was sitting in the airport lounge, bored. I was mindlessly scrolling through social media and seeing post after post, trying to fill some sort of void in my head to pass the time. There has to be something better to do than that. You have to be able to be more productive. Well, there absolutely was. As I mentioned, there's a third-party camera ecosystem that iPhones just have access to that Samsung just never will. At least not initially. Swipe by REEFLEX is the perfect example of an app that takes advantage of Apple's ecosystem. iPhone users would know that clearing away photos from your Photos app, especially since the update to iOS 26, has become challenging. Some might even say a nightmare. I would. Swipe instantly solves that problem using AI and a bit of fun along the way. Swipe photos to the right that you want to keep, swipe photos to the left that you want to delete. Even if that's all the app did, that would be fun because it's like a nice way of being productive, but also sort of scrolling through your phone. But the app is way smarter than that. First of all, it uses AI. There's a function in here where it actually will find similar photos and then automatically select the best one and recommend deleting the worst versions of them. It also breaks everything down into years and then months. That way you can clear away things that you want on a time basis. Helps you manage it into little chunks as opposed to being overwhelmed by the whole thing. Once you've sort of cleared a month away, there's a nice little animation at the end that sort of organizes everything and shows you what you've kept. But those photos that you've swiped away, either to keep or delete, where do they go? Well, the delete ones go into the trash, automatically ready for you to either just remove them forever or save some if you made a mistake. And it even tells you how much storage you'll save by removing those photos altogether. But the keep ones, they get moved into a best of folder. But they don't just lump them in there in some sort of no order. Swipe will automatically grade and rank them using AI. It gives them a percentage score out of 100, and then that makes it easier to find the best photos. So instead of mindlessly scrolling social media, put your time to use and clear away any excess storage on your phone using Swipe by Reflex. You can get access to Swipe using the link in the description, or Reflex also have a bunch of different lenses that you can attach. And there'll be a full video on that coming up, so hit subscribe to check that out when that drops. Now, since these cameras have got updated, Samsung's have actually increased in functionality. The One UI 8.5 beta has added extra modes. Well, I say extra modes, it's added functions within the modes that are existing and then added toggles to reinstate modes they got rid of. Neither here nor there. Enhanced Pro Mode features, extra stuff within Camera Assistant. It's a whole plethora of things, and you can go find them in my One UI 8.5 camera video where I've broken them all down. But in this video, I want to focus on the pure output between the two. In my initial analysis, I didn't really like how the iPhone cameras were a little bit dull, a little bit flat, and had this really yellow tinge over some of them. I want to see if that's changed and how it compares to what I thought at the time was a very contrasty, colorful, and vibrant S25 Ultra output. Well, I did my usual thing. I got all the photos onto my computer, and I used my monitor, which I've got sitting up here, is a 4K OLED panel. So it's going to give me all of the detail, all of the colors. And honestly, I sat there and looked and inspected the photos, and I've drawn a pretty much similar conclusion here. What I found is that a majority of photos from iPhone still have that lifeless appeal to them. That's not an appeal at all. Basically, I looked through so many photos. I started with the 1x camera, and what I noticed was with this 1x camera, that the Samsung just constantly produced results that had more color, more life, and more vibrancy. The iPhone just could not produce the grass to be green. It couldn't produce the sky to have that nice burly blue that I've sort of gotten used to from visiting Burleigh Beach all these years. Everything just looks a little bit flat from the iPhone's cameras, and that 1x camera in particular. But it didn't really change no matter which camera I was kind of switching to. Like the ultra-wide camera, I also found a similar result, where it just, again, couldn't produce the colors with any sort of punch and vibrancy. And this is just standard auto mode. There's no trickery being done or filters being added or photography styles done. It's just what it is set to default when you turn your iPhone on for the first time, which is likely how most people use their iPhone. And it's the same with Samsung, default out of the box. Samsung are yet to add like the 24 megapixel default mode that's expected for the S26 Ultra, which is just around the corner. But even so, I think I prefer, especially where these photos end up getting uploaded to, what the Samsung has got, because it actually gives you a bit of life and a bit of color. And that same effect happened within videos that I shot. Now, it was a bit closer with the 1x video. The two videos are actually very, very close in terms of their output. The 1x camera, as you sort of pan around, the greens are very similar, the skies are very similar, and it's just a very similar overtones, which is good for Samsung because a lot of people give Apple this high praise for video, but Samsung actually showcased that they can actually do it. But I noticed something weird when I punched into the 5 and 4x cameras, is that the iPhone again brought back this yellow tinge, almost like they were putting a sun filter over the top. Didn't look very nice. It just warmed it up too much and it wasn't representative of what I was looking at with my eyes. But I wanted to give the cameras one last go. My son loves playing football and he also considers himself a bit of a presenter. He wanted me to film him putting on a training session for his team. So film it, put it together, send it to his team off so they can train themselves at home. Anyway, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to test the iPhone against the Samsung, both in audio quality and in video quality, and take a bit of a look yourself. Don't mind the length of it. If you want to skip through it, absolutely don't stress. I won't be offended. I just thought my son would really like to see himself one day in the future with the full video. So I'll preserve the memory of it here, and then you be the judge of just the quality of the video in the comments below.
Hi, my name's Alberto, and I'm going to teach you how to train at home just by one person. Juggling with you. So first, we're just going to let it bounce. And then keep doing that. And you might want to go to 20 with your right foot, and then you might go with your left foot. Now, we're just going to do normal juggling. So let's go to 3 this time first. 1, 2, 3, and then catch. Let's go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, catch. Okay, now I'm going to do some ball in the wall with you. You don't know what that means? All you need is a ball and a wall. You're going to do 10 passes with your right foot, first time against it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now left foot. Take a touch if you need to. Okay, so what I need now, 3 poles, 2 passing things here, passing through there for the corners, and then if you have a top pins, you put it up the top to make a top pins angle. What we're going to do is we're going to start on the left side. We're going to go 1, 2 here, 1, 2 here, there. Then we're going to shoot with your left foot. Try to get it bottom corner or top corner. Let's do it on the full. Okay, now we're going to do on the right foot. I'm going to change it up with right foot. We're going to go here, 1, 2. Then I'm going to go cut, cut, shoot. So here, here we go. Cut, cut, shoot. Now we've got a little shooting drill. So what we have there, you've got a goal, top pins and bottom pins. So what we need to do, we're going to have to curve the ball to right top pins, right bottom pins, or left top pins, left bottom pins. If you need tips on making it go high, if you're going like this, it will only go low. If you want it to go low, then what you have to do, you have to lean over the ball and point your foot and your knee where you want to go. And of course your shoulder. And then it will go in that direction. Let's try doing it high. So when you do it high, you lean back. But no, I'm not saying like lean back like that. What I'm saying is like lean back like this and get your foot under it and it'll go pretty high. Let's try. Let's go. Left top pins first. Ooh. Maybe you have got it, maybe you won't. So thank you for listening. I hope you like it. I hope you like how to train at home. Hope you subscribe. Bye.
My own analysis of the videos is that Samsung, again, similar to the photos, had a bit more vibrancy to it, but the iPhone videos, particularly around the facial features of my son as he's presenting to camera, were a bit brighter. Some people might prefer that because obviously if the subject of the video is brighter, you can see them better. But the overall aesthetic of the Samsung video are probably preferred. But again, it comes down to your personal preference and you obviously will let me know. The software analysis is next. And I kind of did it a little bit differently last week. I did One UI 8.5 versus iOS 26. And I focused heavily on the new functions from One UI 8.5 and how that sort of compares to iOS 26. My conclusion I drew was that whilst they seem closer together in terms of their appearance, in terms of function, they've never been further apart. The stock One UI experience has brought a lot of what's great about iOS 26 in terms of its visual impact into One UI. Things like the gallery with the menu overlays and the floating sort of menu buttons, they're sort of starting to make an appearance in One UI and give it a bit of a visual overhaul. But even down to things like the better quick panel, better lock screen customizations, that sort of stuff is getting brought into the visual line with iPhone. But Samsung has further separated themselves by enhancing existing good lock functions and also Galaxy AI functions. But I just can't wrap my head around iOS interactions. Doesn't matter how much muscle memory you build up, you really will never get used to it if you've been using the simplicity of the back gesture, the universal back gesture on a Samsung. I don't care if you ever get used to the iPhone way. The second you realize that anywhere you swipe on two sides of the screen will take you back, that level of convenience is unmatched. And I honestly, that's the thing that separates the two for me the most, is just the simplicity of Samsung and One UI. Constantly think about, why do people like iPhones? Look how non-buggy the iPhone is. Hey? Buggy. iOS just works. And a lot of it's down to what they perceive as simplicity. But there is a visual buzz you get from the animations. They are top tier. The smoothness, the way it transitions from one feature to the next, it is very nice to look at, but there's no substance to it. It's like an animated blockbuster with all of the great cartoon animation visuals, but no story behind it. It's the exact same reason why I prefer the older generation of The Simpsons versus the newer one. Yes, the newer Simpsons have way more polish. The animation is up in line with the technology of the 21st century, but it has no soul almost. It's like the jokes just don't land as well. The storyline isn't as punchy, whereas the old Simpsons, the animation wasn't as crisp, wasn't as good, but it just had something about it that you much prefer watching that, even though it's got poorer quality animation. iOS has all of the fancy stuff, the liquid glass, the pops of animation, but the apps that utilize all of it are terrible. The Photos app is a genuine disgrace, and anyone who thinks it's good is just wrong. And that's a fact. If you want me to investigate why it's terrible, let me do a gallery versus photos deep dive once the S26 series comes out, because you'll see next to each other how much better Samsung's gallery app is versus iPhone's. While Samsung's visuals aren't as polished, aren't as fluid, they're getting there, but it has more substance. There's more features there that you can actually bite into and utilize. Perfect example of that is Samsung DeX. The fact that whilst iPhones, if they ever did anything like that, they might give you a better visual experience. The fact they haven't given you that means that, yes, you got all the animations on the phone, but you can't really do much with all the power that the processor's got. Whereas with Samsung, they give you Samsung DeX, and they give it to you in a fully featured functional way. Some people will say that it needs more function, but at least for now, it's got a lot about it. And that's, for me, what I prefer. I like that features stand up on their own, and you don't need an ecosystem of products to actually make the single product good. So the final battle, the conclusion remains the same. The 17 Pro Max, as nice as the hardware might be, is let down by iOS, whilst the Galaxy S25 Ultra gets lifted by One UI 8.5, and just One UI in general. Had this been the 17 Pro, the base model Pro versus the base model S25, I probably could have been a little bit kinder to Apple here, because I think iOS will actually suit smaller form factors because of the fact that everything will be a lot easier to reach and feel a little bit more natural to use. But it doesn't change the feature set, so I still don't think it would win, but it'll definitely do a lot better. If you want to see the iPhone 17 Pro Max against the newly launched S26 Ultra when that comes out, hit subscribe to Tech with Benefits. This is the place you'll want to be for that. Come and find me on my socials, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Phew!